Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss the 1998 Psycho, starring Vince Vaughn, Anne Heche, Julianne Moore, William H. Macy, Viggo Mortensen, Philip Baker Hall, and Rita Wilson, and directed by Gus Van Sant. And I know Gus Van Sant because of Good Will Hunting, but what do I think of his Psycho? Well, let's get into it. The opening logo is as colorful as it looks. Green is a bad idea, just like remaking this movie is a bad idea. In Phoenix, Arizona, on Friday, December the 11th, in 1998, the year this movie takes place, by the way, at 2:43 p.m., Marion Crane, played by Anne Heche, having sexual intercourse with Sam Loomis, played by Viggo Mortensen. And the way he said, "I'd like to meet your sister," sounded more like, "I'd like to fuck your sister." And she gets out and goes back to work, and her coworker, played by Rita Wilson, comes off like, "Bitch, please." And it looks like she's disgusted by Marion. And I'm not connecting with these characters like the way Hitchcock made me care, but Gus Van Sant is a good director, and the fact that he remade this movie is beyond disrespectful for people that really enjoyed the original, like myself. A highway patrolman sees Marion asleep as she's in a goddamn hurry, and after looking and sounding suspicious, she gets another car for the rest of the road and to visit her sister. And I don't believe Anne Heche in this role like I do believe Janet Leigh, which is the biggest problem with this movie. Then she drives somewhere until one dark stormy night. She can't see a thing in the road and stops at Bates Motel, out of all places, and gets a room from Norman Bates, played by Vince Vaughn, who's a very big guy and is well known for comedies in the 2000s and doesn't fit the role of Norman Bates like Anthony Perkins does. And he's not very good in this movie at all, just to be fair. Norman brings Marion supper, and they eat sandwiches, and there's stuffed up owls and birds, and Hitchcock had a reason because his next movie was The Birds. But here, Gus Van Sant didn't have the best reason, and the scene was just fucking awkward. And the next scene, Norman jerks off while staring at Marion's room about to go into the shower, and that was unnecessary, might I add. And the shower scene is much better than the original than in this piece of shit movie, and it's acted better than there and than in here. And I couldn't give two shits about Marion in this movie at all because Anne Heche, you're not doing the right thing as far as not watching Psycho goes. The original, I mean. After Norman dumps Marion in the car in the pond, Sam Loomis meets Lila Crane, played by Julianne Moore, with headphones, and private investigator Arbogast, played by William H. Macy, wearing a ridiculous hat. And that scene was acted very poorly, and I like Julianne Moore and I love William H. Macy, but their performances are absolutely terrible, and Arbogast searches the motel after motel to get to the Bates Motel and asks Norman questions about Marion going missing, and he knows Norman is up to something. And I know, based on the original movie, Norman is fucked, so he goes up to the Bates house and discovers Mother at the stairs, and Arbogast is killed. And you know what? I didn't give a shit in both viewings, because when I first saw this movie, I fell asleep in that viewing. And in this viewing, I'm beginning to check out of this movie. Sheriff Chambers, played by Philip Baker Hall, is asked by Lila and Sam to investigate and ask Norman's mother, or in the case Norman, questions about Marion's disappearance, and does nothing about it. So Lila and Sam get a room as a married couple, and Norman does suspect something's wrong, and they check Marion's room for any suspicious blood or something, and they go to the Bates house, and Lila goes downstairs and sees a dead skeleton body, and she finds Norman is disguised as Mother, and Sam stops Norman from killing Lila, and he's taken into custody and doesn't hurt the fly, buzzing around in the room. That is a climax this time was very insulting, and they roll the credits while taking Marion's car out of the car, and I'm disgusted. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 1.5 out of 10. After watching this thing, there's no fucking reason to watch this movie, as it's very disrespectful and insulting. I fell asleep in the first viewing, and that was good enough for me. Then this viewing, I am very disgusted by Gus Van Sant remaking this movie. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for the Psycho series, and until next time,